video is once again something a little bit different. I know I say this every video, but this time I'm trying something new. So for those of you that don't know, I'm currently bringing Moreno back into work after laminitis. Watch the other videos to catch up on that. It's a whole big ordeal. So I'm currently bringing him back into work, and we are about to enter some dressage shows coming up. We found them, we're going to enter them. Don't really have the highest expectations, but I just really want to get him back out again. So I thought in this video I would put in some clips from our last dressage test, and then some clips from our current latest ride. That just went completely out of my head. Our latest ride, which was about 10 minutes ago, and then kind of talk through what I think went wrong in the first test, what I'd like to improve on, just things like that, chit chat about it, and then more for me to look back on and see if I have actually achieved what I wanted to achieve. So I'm going to keep this intro short for me anyway, and hopefully I'll be able to find some clips from my last test and I'll insert them. Maybe I'll insert some photos if I can actually find them. But yes, stop rambling. The old test, the new test, and probably a lot of talking in between. So I have managed to find a video of the last dressage test we did. So I've cropped most of it out, just kind of kept in the bits I wanted to talk about. The first thing I'm going to talk about is my centre line. I have such an issue with centre lines, and then I just wung them around this corner. Like, what was I doing? I really struggle with centre lines. I really struggle keeping them straight. But I think that's my fault, like my riding position rather than him. And I've also want to talk about this circle because, like, where is my impulsion? I just don't look like I have a real purpose. Which has, I hope, been sorted. Again, across the diagonal here, then we had too much impulsion. He loves to do a medium trot across diagonals, which obviously in a prelim test you really shouldn't do. Our walk transitions weren't great at this point. I could not get him on the bit in walk at all, full stop, ever. Then we have a canter transition, which he was very obedient. He really listened to me, although his head was in the clouds, quite literally. And the canter, again, it just doesn't look great. He's very fussy in the contact. Naturally, he always has been, but he's not this bad. I just was riding a bit like poo. I just thought I'd talk about things that I wanted to kind of improve on for next time, things that I've been focusing on that I wanted to get better, and things that cost us marks. Our free walk has never actually been great. He doesn't like to stretch down because he likes to know what's going on around him. So I'm not sure if we will ever be able to crack that, because at new venues and everything, he just wants to know what's going on in the warm-up. He's too nosy for his own good. And you can see here halfway through the test, he actually is starting to kind of drop his head a little bit and come onto the bit, although he is still very fussy in the contact. And then I went wrong, which is classic really, isn't it? So I went wrong. This test was actually, for anyone that remembers, it was our first test since Moreno's accident. If you don't know about that, there's a few videos, I'll link them down below. He fell on the horse box coming back from this venue, and I was so stressed about him getting there safely, getting home safely, that I found it ridiculously hard to memorise this test, hence I went wrong. But we kind of knew, on the way up, everyone said I didn't see myself and things, so we kind of knew that was going to happen. It was a lot more stressful than a normal day out competing, just because it was our first trip back. So I'm hoping there won't be the same factor now, because we've been out to work in Hunter since then, and he travels brilliantly. It was just a freak accident. So back to the actual test for our last centre line. Again, it's been all over the place. I don't think it's very centre at all, really. And I don't know if he's square. Actually, no, I think he is square there. He's not on the bit, but a big pat for him anyway, because I love him. So now we're going to fast forward to today. That previous video was May, I believe. So it was just a normal schooling session, but I just had a few things I really wanted to work on. So first things first, in the winter, obviously that previous video was summer, I need a much longer warm-up, and I need to remember this. I need a much longer warm-up, especially with the horse of Moreno's age, because he'll be 20 this year. So we need a bit of a longer warm-up to make sure he's really feeling nice and supple, which you can see here. I thought I would include the clips. It is a much longer warm-up. But I'm still working on little bits and pieces as I'm warming him up. So as you can see there, I was just, I cut across the arena and just wanted to see how straight we were. I'm also trying to get him really off my leg with lots and lots of transitions. To get him working from behind, we do lots of rein back. He's also gotten quite impatient, so I asked him to halt and just made him stand for a few seconds every time. And it was also trying to get the halt square. That was just a lovely bonus if he did end up square. So again, still in this little warm-up stage, as you can see, having a real play about, keeping everything really varied, because Moreno is a very, very intelligent horse. He gets bored so easily, so we need to make sure everything's different and he has something new to think about. So, as you can see again, I'm doing a lot more straight lines. I am guilty of not working on this as much as I should. I'm a big fan of circles, and I don't ride straight enough. So I really was consciously thinking about that today and kind of thought, right, you're going to a show, get yourself together. Also, you can see I'm using quite a lot of leg. He was quite, not lazy. He just wasn't very forward. But I did get him woken up after the first canter. That's normally the way he is anyway. So as you can see, first canter, it's not our best. However, compared to that previous video of our test, it looks a million times better. So we're not quite as supple as I would like to be. So we're throwing in loads more transitions, and as you can see, he's actually starting to drop his head a bit more and walk, which we couldn't do at all in the previous dressage test. Also, walk to canter makes him so soft. He adores that transition. I don't know what it is, but you can see he's going so much better, like a really nice collected canter and everything. We've also been having a few issues with bending, but again, I think that's a mixture of his age and the weather. So I have some stretches to incorporate into our little routine now, which should hopefully help that, even though that's not riding related, but you know, wee things like that should help. We've also kind of cracked the medium trot job, so he doesn't just, every time I ask him to change to go across the diagonal, he doesn't just fly into this medium trot. We've kind of sorted that. What else was there in that previous video? I'm so unprepared, I'm trying to remember. You can see, got a nice forward trot. I do wear spurs now. I'm not sure if I had them on in that previous dressage test. Moreno's been ridden with spurs all his life, but I didn't want to ride with them while I did not know how to. So waited until I was ready to use them, and then I've started wearing them now. He's actually getting a lot more responsive off the leg. The transitions are much better. You can see there we have him really starting to get nice and soft for me. So if we can keep that up in the test, I will be very happy. This is his worst rein, but as you can see, you know, through all these different tips and tricks in the warm-up, he is so much softer. I have a lot of leg pushing him out to the track, and that really helps him. He's very responsive to your leg in that sense. Whenever you're asking him to leg yield and things, he's very good at that. Speaking of leg yield, we had a little spook at a horse putting his head over the fence there. But speaking of leg yield, we do so much leg yield, and I think it is brilliant for him. It really supples him up, really gets him nice and loose. So another thing I don't do enough of is 20-meter circles, or you know, smaller circles. So in this ride again, I was really focusing on working on like random circles, just random places around the arena. Again, Moreno tries to break the trot sometimes if there are smaller circles, just because he finds it easier, but he can do it. I just need to keep my leg on and really push. So as you can see, like now that I have my leg on, he's doing it no bother, so that should be a bit better in our test. Straightness still isn't great. We did some more off camera, like I would ride directly towards my dad who's videoing, and just ask him, you know, am I drifting, what way am I drifting, but yeah, that's a work in progress, we'll just say. But he's a lot more consistent in the contact than he was in that previous video. I would like a bit more consistency in my transitions. That's something else I will be working on. But you can even see he's a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? he's a lot more flowy, he's a lot more willing to go forward now that he's properly warmed up. And then I thought I would spice things up a bit because I felt like he was getting bored. I felt like he was looking at his surroundings too much. So there was just some poles laid out here. Just thought I'd have a play over them. He's great at poles, he really is. He loves them. He loves a bit of pole work. So I just thought I'd throw them into the mix today. You can never do too many poles, I think. So we're doing a bit of that, more transitions, and now his canter is just like butter. He is just so soft in my hands. Again, he does go a little bit overbent, and I try to kind of pick him up a little bit because that is not what I'm intending to do. So I need to work on that, getting him consistent. I couldn't get that word out. But you can see he's stretching down, which I'm hoping will carry through in our free walk. I'm hoping he'll be able to really stretch down instead of just out, which is a comment the judge makes a lot. I think that was pretty much our main aim, so I was really happy with this session. I felt like he was a lot more supple by the end of it, and I felt like our circles were much better, and I felt like he was much more stretchy. So that was kind of my main aim for this little clip. But hopefully everything else will piece together bit by bit, and we'll be ready for our first test next month, I believe. It's a league though, so if it doesn't work out, we've got 3 more dates to try, and I just really hope we can get to at least one of them. So, classic me, forgot to film an outro earlier, and it's now really dark and I'm in my pyjamas, so just excuse this, just excuse it. Also had an allergic reaction and my eyes really red, so if you can see this in this camera, again, ignore it. Bit of a shambles at the minute. I'm hoping this video will go up tonight. But enough of my ramblings. That is all for this week's video. I just thought I would try something a bit different. It'll be nice to look back on after I actually do ride the test to see if I did do what I wanted to do, or if I need to go home and do a lot more homework. But I really enjoyed making this type of video. It was nice to go back and look at the old tests and think like, oh, that was a bit hairy, or like, oh, that wasn't actually as bad as I thought it was. Of course, the main aim for for this next show is to remember my test, obviously. That's the main goal. If I can do that, I'll be happy. If we get round, I'll be happy. But it's always nice to have some things in your head while you're training, you know, like thinking of last time, oh, I needed to work on my circles. It's just always nice to have something in the back of your head to work towards and aim towards. So that was my main intention with this video, and I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next week for another video. Bye!